Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so what I've done here is pretty much beefed up the idea that I had on my previous video, where I was trying to get across what a good racing line was from a bad one, or at least a part of the video was looking at that anyway. So I've gone and created a track, quite a simple one, but I want to sort of show you what it looks like in my head when I race competitively. So you can see I've marked out the ideal racing line with all these different props here, but I've sort of extrapolated on that idea of the braking points, that I touched on. So what I've done is I've added these different blocks, red meaning braking and orange meaning coasting. So that's like not accelerating and you're not decelerating there, you're just sort of steering the car with the left analog stick, and that's it. Okay, that's the only control you have on the car during the time when you're over these orange blocks, just a bit of downtime. Okay, now those blocks are dependent, the length dependent. So the longer the blocks are, the longer you are doing whatever you're trying to do, essentially. So here you're braking at a shorter period compared to this period here. Same again, you're coasting for, well, about, I don't know, let's say that's about 6 meters there, and you're coasting for a much shorter time over here for about 2 meters or 3 meters. All right, so that's the idea with those blocks and the lines here. Okay, so you get where I'm going at with this. So obviously I'm in creation mode, and the only car that, well, you're not able to bring in custom cars essentially. So I've had to work with the custom Nero. Okay, so whenever you're I'm gonna have a link to the published race on Social Club, so you can download it or bookmark it rather, so you can test this for yourselves and get used to these open lines, the braking points and what have you, but the most important thing is that you race this in the Nero custom, but it's not the custom Nero custom, it's just the ordinary stock version. That's really important. So this is kind of what your lobby settings should look like. Should have non-contact and whatever number of laps you want. The traffic obviously off, custom vehicles off, all the rest is not so important. And obviously we want to go with the Nero custom, as I said, just the stock version. It comes as default. Down the bridge. And we want to move off to the right side because we want to make as much use of the road as possible. Nice long brake there because we're on a downslope. Downslopes tend to increase our braking points, how hard we brake for. Now easing off the acceleration there because we're meandering quite a lot, and we're pushing the car to its limit. So we don't want to be too over aggressive, otherwise we'll spin out. Braking here, and we want to kiss the apex there, or a little bit on the outside there. Ease off again, just coasting there because it's quite quick through this section. Braking here into the narrow section, coasting just because it's very narrow and you want to align yourself into a hairpin, and then on the gas again. Up the bridge. Now onto the curb here, coasting and accelerating. Down the bridge. I'll do this for a few laps just so you can see how it's done, more or less. A short braking period here, just to put us in the center of the road, so that we still have somewhat of an open line into that left-hander. Now we can use all the road we have available. Kissing this apex coming up. Again, I'm late, so I know from that I need to work on my timing there. If you find yourself, as I was just there, going a little wide on one of the corners, ease off the acceleration just for a tad and coast. These colored blocks are not strictly. They're a guide essentially. All right, use them as a guide. Obviously, physics isn't always consistent. So you're not always going to be on the racing line at all times. So, you have some element of freedom as to how you brake or where you coast, whatever. But use these blocks as a guide, okay? If you're more or less in the right sort of degree of, you know, if you're using them more or less in the right degree, you should manage just fine. So there I was a bit more on point. Into the narrow section, make sure I coast so I can get a nice precision entrance into that narrow section. So I could go to the left here if I wanted to, get myself a more accurate, more open line into the bridge section here. All down to you. It's all down to you. That line there, back there. But the rest of the track is pretty highly recommended, you know, to stick on these yellow lines. Right, let's get this right. Let's get this right. Oh, a little late again. I'm having trouble with that corner. Now, I want to get something off my chest here, okay? Whenever I'm turning, I'm always flicking the left analog stick. I'm not having it statically left or right whenever I'm turning. All right, now the reason for doing that is I feel like I have more control if I flick my left analog stick, because say if I flick, like, you'll hear it here. And again. So I'm always flicking my analog stick. That's more like it. That's more like it. You see the difference there in kissing that apex as opposed to going too wide. But anyway, yeah, you must flick your analog stick because that gives you more control on your sort of turning angles, your turning radiuses. Because okay, so I'll try and explain this as best I can as to why you should flick rather than just keep it stationary. So if you're flicking, say if you flick 5 times in one corner, that gives you technically 5 opportunities to either hold the analog stick to the left or the right for a split second longer and turn a little bit quicker, or you can let it sort of center and sort of, you know, make your car go a little bit outside of the corner and sort of let it sort of try and straighten up just for that little bit extra, you know, just for that split second. So if I was to hold my, oops, I'm oversteering, hold that analog stick to the left or right permanently or statically, I really struggle to control my car. So I'm going to try and do that, but I probably might make a complete balls up of this. So on this next lap, rather than flicking my analog stick, I'm going to try and be a bit less, more static about it. Here we go. I'm going to try my best here. I feel like I'm not as efficient. You see me weaving a little bit. So I find it a little bit harder to stay on course and to maintain, damn it, and to maintain that racing line. So, I mean, the other beneficial sort of aspect of flicking the analog stick is if you go over lots of bumps, as I touched on bumps before, in that you lose turning power, turning speed, or turning time rather, when you go over bumps, because of course you're getting air time, so you can't turn whilst you're in the air. But generally speaking, you don't want to turn too harshly when you're on bumps, otherwise you'll oversteer and you'll spin out. So doing this flicking aspect where half your turn, or maybe 25% of the turn, that analog stick is in the center position, then you're not turning during that period, so it sort of puts less pressure onto the car, so you're less likely to oversteer, if that makes sense. All right, so I think that, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of this. This is inside you're inside my head essentially when you're doing this, but you must, as I say, race with the stock Nero custom. But another aspect of this, you know, once you feel like you've sort of nailed this, and you know, had some decent practice, then you can go to your custom car, you know, and put those off-road tires on. As I say, that just increases your traction and reduces the amount of airtime that you take when you go over bumps. So you know, you're going quicker around the track. It doesn't dampen your top speed in any way. Whack those off-road tires on, and you know, you should be an absolute speed demon after that. So you know, get some practice on here. Whack those off-road tires on your custom car, and have another crack at some random races. See if there's a difference. If there is, I would love to know. Put a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if this has helped you in any way, and be sure to give it a like. You know, if you really do enjoy the look of this, or have enjoyed the video, if you learned something, just, you know, drop a like. I'm sure, you know, I do watch my video sort of likes and all that sort of stuff, so I am very grateful when I see that, when I see sort of these videos gaining some traction, and whenever they're gaining popularity. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, so I hope that you have enjoyed the video, guys. Now I wish you all the best and take care. All right, bye bye.